Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to our first webinar in our 2013 webinar series. A couple housekeeping things as we get started. If you have a question during the webinar, you can raise your hand, use the thing on the keyboard on the right-hand side, raise your hand, or you can send me a question. I will try to answer them as we go along. If not, we'll catch them at the end of the webinar. One other thing, on our webinar as of today, we have an archive of previous webinars that we've done. These are open for anyone's use. All you have to do is go to the webinar page on our website, www.microcraft-tkc.com. Click the link. It'll take you to a YouTube video where you can see previous webinars that we held in 2012, and in fact this webinar will be on the list later on this afternoon. So here we go, getting started. Today we're going to talk about KPIs, key performance indicators, and creating a balanced scorecard. What we're going to look at are types of KPIs: strategic, tactical, and operational. We're going to look at the concept of a balanced scorecard and the different perspectives that should be on that scorecard. And then we're going to wrap it up with an interactive session where we look at what KPIs should be on your balanced scorecard. So here we go. Balanced scorecard, commonly called a dashboard, sort of like the dashboard on your car. It doesn't tell you every single thing going on with the car. What it does is it gives you information on critical areas that you need to properly be able to control the vehicle, such as how fast are you going, what your RPMs are, your water temperature, your fuel status. These are key things you need to properly operate the vehicle. In business, we need something like that to make sure that our businesses are running the way we expect them to, and so that we can get to where we need to be going. Three types of key performance indicators. Strategic. These are talking about how we're doing meeting our strategy where we want to go as an organization. Some of the key performance indicators that would show up in that category are: how profitable are we? What is our share of the market? How productive are we? The next area, tactical. These are KPIs that are talking about how are we doing right now? How are we performing to our master schedule, performance to plan? How are we doing as far as delivering our good or service to our customer when we said we were going to deliver it to them, on-time delivery? And another tactical KPI is inventory turns. How well are we using the inventory that we have invested money in? The third type of key performance indicator is operational. How are we doing out in the production floor? How are we doing in our fulfillment operations? Here we're talking about KPIs like cycle time. What's the time it takes from receipt of order to closing out the order by getting paid for it? How efficient are we based on what we think we should be able to do, performance to our standards? So KPIs can fall in three different types: strategic, tactical, and operational. But which ones do we need on that scorecard? Which ones do we need on the dashboard? This dashboard that I have showing now is kind of one-sided. It is looking at revenue. Revenue for the corporation, revenue by region in comparison to target, revenue where its sources are coming from. Again, these are all things that you have to look at, but it's kind of one-sided. What we're looking for is a balance. The balance between 4 different perspectives. How do our customers look at us? How are we at executing the processes that we need to deliver our goods and services? How are we doing financially? And Lord, we all know that if you don't keep an eye on the bottom line, you're going to be out of business pretty quick. And then the 4th one is an interesting one on a balanced scorecard. How innovative are we? How are we doing at learning new techniques, new ways of doing things? One of the areas that we need to work on is making sure we have the right balance of all of these. Again, another view of a dashboard. Again, this dashboard here, different organization, but it's still focused on one side. It doesn't have that balance to it. So we're going to do a little question and answer here. What I'm going to do over the next couple minutes, I'm going to give you 4 polls. In the polls, I'm going to give you a set of measurements. What I want you to do is select which perspective those measurements apply to. So here we go. I'm going to give you the first one here. So the KPIs of productivity, successful sales calls, inventory turns. What I want you to do is take a couple seconds and click which of the perspectives those KPIs apply to. So go ahead. You get one choice. Click your perspective after everybody has a chance to put their stuff in. Then I'll show you the results and we'll talk about them. Okay, we got a couple people that haven't voted yet. We're getting real close. We got about 5 seconds to go and I'm going to close out the poll. Here we go, closing down. Okay. Well, good news is half of you got the right business perspective. Those KPIs of productivity, successful sales calls, and inventory turns are directly linked to the processes that we use to deliver our product or service. Let's go to the next poll. The KPIs in this one: training hours per person, new products introduced, or new patents that we've gotten. Which business perspective are these associated with? You got about a minute to make your choices. And we're closing down in about 5 seconds. I got 1 or 2 more people to go. Okay, closing the poll. And you are correct. 91% of you had innovation and learning perspective. These are all we're dealing with how we are at bringing new things to market, how we are at learning new ways of doing things. And into the third poll now. Revenue, gross margin, returns on investment. Make your choices. And we got about 5 seconds to go. Okay, closing down. Everybody got this one right. When we're talking about revenue, it's definitely a financial perspective. And the last of there we go. Last poll. On-time delivery, satisfaction surveys, and complaints. And we got about 5 seconds left. And closing the poll. This one is 100% of you picked customer perspective. These are the things that the customer sees, how the customer views this. All right. So on your screen now is a dashboard with a balanced scorecard approach. This is from a museum. By the way, all of these dashboards that I've been showing, you can find these on the internet if you want to do some more research. But take a look at this one. What this museum is looking at. They are looking at how much energy they're using, how many member visits they're having to their website, the average amount of time people stay on the website, their current expenses. What kind of new works of art are they showing? Various attendance figures. They even get into things like how many plants have they planted because they have a green initiative going on. So in this one dashboard with 9 metrics on it, they get a snapshot of how their organization is doing so they can take action to allow them to meet their goals and objectives. So let's wrap it up. We've looked at KPIs, 3 different categories. Strategic looks at how we're doing, meeting our goals of where we want to take the organization. Tactical, how we're executing our plans on a month-to-month basis. And operational, how are we doing out in the production floor or in the fulfillment area right now? Then we looked at the different perspectives that we need on a balanced scorecard. And finally, we wrapped up with the types of KPIs that you would find on each of these perspectives. The key here is this. Every organization, even if you have 2 companies competing in the same market, may have different things on their balanced scorecard, different items on that dashboard that they feel they need to look at in order to make their business a success. So what is on there is really up to you, but hopefully this webinar gave you a little bit of insight as to the types of things that you can put on your balanced scorecard. I want to thank you all for joining us. We will be next month talking about forecasting seasonal demand. And as I indicated at the beginning of the webinar, this webinar and several of our previous webinars are now available for your viewing offline at your convenience by visiting our website on our webinar page. Okay, I would